Hello, BookTube. You know, recently I've been having abysmal luck with mail hauls. Not with getting them. I still get 10 to 15 books a day, and not even with their contents. No, I've had abysmal luck with filming them. I uh, I tried filming one the other day, and the street noise was so unbelievably thunderous that I thought I was talking loud enough. I thought maybe some of it was being filtered out just, by ambience or whatnot. But when I played the video back, you could barely hear me. So I had to just junk it because the problem with mail hauls, unlike with any other kind of video that I know of, is that I would do, is that you can't do them over again. I don't want to be one of those phony baloney booktubers who says, I've got a package, I don't know what's in it, but I did open it ahead of time, so I wouldn't open it on camera. Yeah, you opened it and didn't look inside. Okay. uh, I don't want to be. I don't want to be holding up opened packages and then pretending that I don't know what's in them. Uh, so if something happens to ruin a mail haul, then I have to just scrap it most of the time. Uh, that happened one day. The traffic noise. Uh, Another day, I had a rather abrupt interruption from a muscular teenager who just needed attention. They sometimes do. They're like kittens in that way, and in a lot of other ways. Another day, I was doing a mail haul. In fact, it was that same day. I was doing a mail haul. I was right in the middle of it when my sweet old dog had a little emergency. I had to take care of it. I had to stop what I was doing immediately and go and help her. And I don't know if that's going to keep happening. I have no idea. But in the meantime, I've got new books piling up here that I haven't shown you, and that's not good. The gods don't like that. So I thought I would show you. I want to show you six um, recent arrivals that I have either read and really liked, or that I really like the sound of, just to share them with you. It's not quite a mail haul, but at least it's better than just putting them on the pile and forgetting about them. The first one is I think I mentioned on this channel just the other day, a contemporary romance. So a romance novel that's not a Regency bodice ripper of the kind that I just love. I read all kinds of romance novels of all time periods, and this is a contemporary one from an author who's been doing this forever. She has, I think, 40 or 50 books to her credit. And she has a nice hardcover deal now, beautiful hardcovers that come out. It's Susan Wiggs, and the book is Map of the Heart. And as you could kind of see from that gorgeous cover, look at how pretty that cover is. It's a story that takes place in Provence, and I want to read you just a bit of it. Widowed by an unspeakable tragedy, Camille Adams has made her peace with the past and settled into the quiet safety of life with her teenage daughter Julie in a sleepy coastal town. Then the arrival of a mysterious package breaks open the door to her family's secret past. In uncovering a hidden history, she has no idea she's embarking on an adventure that will utterly transform her. And the adventure not only I read this when I got the advanced copy. I'm very happy to have the finished copy. I didn't really expect the finished copy would be this pretty, but I might even try my hand at reviewing it. I don't really know. I'm kind of unclear on what notice or effect book reviews of genre fiction have when I run them at Open Letters Monthly, the online literary journal where I am the managing editor. My colleagues at Open Letters Monthly created a space for me, Open Letters Weekly, where I can review at a much faster clip than the once a month of our main table of contents. Those reviews on Open Letters Weekly are shorter, and they're almost all written by me. And it's for those of you who have actually asked me in text and email and whatnot, it is where you can find by far the bulk of my work. And I review a lot of things there. I review a wide variety of books, but I don't know to what extent romance novels, especially if we're going to talk about subgenres, I don't know to what extent romance novels, especially, don't even expect to be reviewed in such places, and so don't notice. I have no idea one way or the other. The only romance reviews that I've done on Open Letters Weekly where I've gotten happy feedback from the author, because of course I'm hardly going to pan a romance novel on Open Letters Weekly. That's not what these things are here for. They're here for fun. the only positive responses that I've got from reviews of books that I've done of that kind have been positive responses from romance authors I know who were watching my work anyway and were just overjoyed, over the moon. Oh my God, you read my latest book and praised it. Isn't that wonderful? So I don't know if I'll review it or not, but I can wholeheartedly recommend it. The shadow of the past that comes to grip Camille Adams and her daughter involves not only Camille's father, but also, as is the way with contemporary romance novels, the man who got away. And it's told in a very slangy, idiomatic English. It's very easy reading. There are no airs here of literary refinement. It's just a straightforward story with some thrilling elements and also some historical fiction thrown in. And if that sounds like your cup of tea, if you like this kind of thing, you can't go wrong with this book. And then the next one is another one that I've read. It's a slim volume of poetry, believe it or not, but it's by Lawrence Joseph, and it's called "So Where Are We?" And isn't that lovely? It's two lovely covers in a row, and he's a contemporary poet who I had never heard of before and haven't read until I read this book. And again, even in my own bailiwick of Open Letters Weekly, I often hesitate to review contemporary poetry. Not for the reasons that, with contemporary romance, I hesitate to review it because I figure its audience is built in anyway. That's definitely not true with contemporary poetry, which is, has almost no readers outside of its own world. When's the last time anybody walked into a bookstore and picked up, anybody who wasn't a poetry reader walked into a bookstore, picked up a hardcover book of poetry and bought it out of readerly interest? That virtually never happens, I'd be willing to bet. But the reason that I don't review contemporary poetry usually on Open Letters Weekly is because I'm not 100% comfortable that I know how to do it. At Open Letters, I have watched some very good critics of contemporary poetry ply their art, and it's part and parcel of the job to know when somebody's doing something much better than you do. But every once in a while, I read a book of contemporary poetry that I really like, that I like well enough to think maybe I'll risk it. And this is one of those, and I can actually recommend it if you like contemporary poetry. And by contemporary poetry, I guess I mean very slim volumes, and where the poetry itself almost self-consciously has no form, no strict scansion, no nothing like that, no rules. It's basically free form, and for forever and ever, that has always bothered me about it. But every once in a while, a volume will really speak to me, and this did. This is very much grounded in the real world. It's very much grounded in our present reality, in the post 9/11 reality, in a way that a lot of contemporary poetry that I read is not. A lot of contemporary poetry that I read is just telegraphically incomprehensible. The mauve wallpaper, wooden rocking horse, 3 spoons, 3, not 2, 3, fill. Yeah. Okay, so your ex-wife, and your grad students all know what that means. And no one else, not only no one else does, but no one else even has the tools to know what that means. It is purely solipsistic. And a lot of contemporary poetry that I read, you see me get it in mail halls here, a lot of it is like that. Just opaque to me. But these were not. So I burned right through it. I'm going to reread a lot of them out loud and slowly, but I can recommend it if any of you like contemporary poetry. The next one is also something that I've read. It's also very thin, so I just blew right through these, and that's this. Who is this by? This is by Bison Books, which is an imprint of University of Nebraska Press, and it is the Great Plains bison. It's just a history and a natural history of the American buffalo. And there was a book on that same subject about 30 or 40 years ago that was very good. This is really good too, and much better written. It's the author does a completely thorough job on the history of the slaughter of buffalo on the American continent. You've got the requisite photos of those mountains of bleached buffalo skulls, and the stories about people, shooting them for fun out of train windows without even bothering to look at what they're doing, much less go back and use any of the carcasses they've just created. And it not only has that, but it also has the natural history. You learn all about these animals, not only their natural history, but their path to extinction, and then their clawing back away from extinction. You get all of that, which you would get in any natural history of the American buffalo, but it's also beautifully written. There are long stretches of this little book that are meditations on the buffalo as much as they are studies of it. So I don't know when this comes out. I know that it won't be in hardcover. Let's see if we can tell here. Oh no, it is going to be. It's going to be in paperback. And it comes out on the 1st of September. And I actually can recommend it. If you live out west or if you have an interest, it's very, very good. And then I want to show you 3 that I haven't read, but that sound really good. One is that I requested. It's Think Before You Like by Guy Harrison. I want to read you a little bit of what it's about. Guy Harrison, an upbeat advocate of scientific literacy and positive skepticism, demonstrates how critical thinking can enhance the benefits of social media while giving users the skill to guard against its dangers. Social media has more than 2 billion users and continues to grow. Its widespread appeal as a means of staying in touch with friends and keeping up with daily news masks some serious pitfalls. Misinformation, pseudoscience, fraud, propaganda, and irrational beliefs, for example, presented in an attractive, easy-to-share form. This book will teach you how to resist the psychological and behavioral manipulation of social media and avoid the mistakes that millions have already made and now regret. And the not so subtle implication there is also a nod at the social media users who mimic those mistakes, swallow them hook, line, and sinker, and don't regret them. In other words, turn around and propagate them, and thereby force multiply the irresponsibility and danger of the misinformation of social media. One of the strong implications in this book that isn't, thankfully, hammered on too much is that the foremost person in the world who does that, who force multiplies all that's wrong with social media, is the current president of the United States, who gets his information from virtually no other source, and communicates with the outside world, including his own family, in virtually no other way. A pure creature of Twitter. But this book sounds really fascinating. I read recently, this comes out in November, by the way. I read recently a book called My Life in Code, in which at one point, and in fact at several points in that book, the author says that the world of the online world and the world of social media and total connectivity terrifies her, because it's doing the opposite of what prognosticators once thought the World Wide Web would do. It was once firmly predicted that if you had total communication transparency, if everyone was connected to everyone else, that misinformation bubbles would burst and start to disappear. We would all, as it were, start to be on the same page. Right when it came to a giant tsunami and the kind of damage that it did and what it looked like, and you know, the extent of the aftermath, no one would have to rely on, you would have cell phone camera footage from dozens of different angles, from dozens of different people. There wouldn't be any bubbles anymore. And instead, the opposite has happened. You can mute what you don't want to see and hear. You can unsubscribe, you can unfollow, you can block. You can, in other words, shape your whole communication with the outside world through social media and the web in ways that no one foresaw, and that allow you to live in a much stronger bubble than you once used to do. Which is, I think it's no surprise at all that that fringe, frothing at the mouth conspiracy theorists have multiplied like locusts after the advent of smart technology and you know, the so-called information superhighway. So I'm looking forward to this book. I'm becoming very fascinated with books, with studies of social media. I think a study of books on social media will be, in 2017, for me, what a study of books on quantum mechanics was in 2016. And then the next one sounds like a hoot. It's Birding Without Borders. It's by Noah Stryker. I don't want to read you a bit of the description. In 2015, Noah Stryker set himself a lofty goal to become the first person to see half the world's birds in 1 year. For 365 days, with a backpack, binoculars, and a series of one-way tickets, he traveled across 41 countries and all 7 continents, eventually spotting 6,042 species. By far the biggest birding year on record. This is no travelogue or glorified checklist. Noah ventures deep into the world of blood-sucking leeches, chronic sleep deprivation, airline snafus, breakdowns, mudslides, floods, war zones, ecological devastation, conservation triumphs, common and iconic species, and scores of passionate bird lovers. Passionate's one way to put it. By pursuing the freest creatures on the planet. Isn't that nice? By pursuing the freest creatures on the planet, Noah gains a unique perspective on the world they share with us. And I haven't read this yet, but I have a feeling I'm going to like it very much. And it comes out in October, and therefore is perfectly poised to be, the gift to give if you're unlucky enough to know a birder. Or if you're unlucky enough to be one. It's the gift to give, because it not only speaks to the huge variety of the bird natural world, but also to the crippling psychological obsessions that afflict all birders. This is a life list, only it's the mother of all life lists. Then the last one that I want to show you, another book that I haven't read, but I did request it because it sounded interesting to me, and I'd be willing to bet you a Boston cream pie it sounds interesting to you. It's Me. Isn't that a neat cover? It's by Tomoyuki Hoshino. And wait till you hear the description of this thing. This novel centers on the It's Me telephone scam, which it turns out is a real thing, often targeting the elderly, that has escalated in Japan in recent years. Typically, the caller identifies himself only by saying, "Hey, it's me," and goes on to claim in great distress that he's been in an accident or lost some money with which he is entrusted at work, or something like that, and needs funds wired to his account right away. Me's narrator is a nondescript young Tokyoite named Hitoshi Nagano, who, on a whim, takes home a cell phone that a young man named Daiki accidentally put on Hitoshi's tray at McDonald's. Hitoshi uses the phone to call Daiki's mother, pretending that he is Daiki, or Daiki, I'm not 100% sure of the pronunciation there, I'll just keep saying Daiki, and convinces her to wire him 900,000 yen. 3 days later, Hitoshi returns home from work to discover Daiki's mother in his apartment, and she seems to truly believe that Hitoshi is her son. Even more bizarre, Hitoshi discovers his own parents now treat him as a stranger. They, too, have a Me living in their home. And he calls himself Hitoshi. At a loss for what else to do, Hitoshi begins living as Daiki, and no one seems to bat an eye. Isn't that awesome? I might be wrong. I haven't read it yet, but it strikes me as the kind of very witty, very dark, very funny brand of magical realism that Japanese fiction writers do like nobody else. Just always manages to pull me in when I read a book like this. I have a feeling this is going to do the same thing. I'm looking forward to it. I don't think this is the author's first book. It has just blurbs from everybody. He was born in 1965 in L.A., but moved to Japan when he was 2. He made his debut as a writer in 1997, and his novel The Mermaid Sings Wake Up won the Mishima Yukio Prize, and Fantasista, I don't know any of these books, was awarded the Noma Literary New Face Prize. His other novels include Lonely Hearts Killer, The Nights Never End, and Spell. So he's an experienced author, but this strikes me as just a home run of a premise. So I wanted to show you those, because who knows when I'll next be able to do a totally uninterrupted mail haul. So this is Me, which I haven't read, but I will report back. Birding Without Borders, I haven't read, will report back. They both strike me as absolute sure things. Think Before You Like, one of a raft of upcoming books on social media that sound fascinating. Then The Great Plains Bison, a short but very packed natural history of the American buffalo. Then So Where Are We by Lawrence Joseph, a slim volume of poetry that I actually liked. And last, Map of the Heart by the mighty Susan Wiggs, who writes novels the way the rest of us change our shirts. Just incredible work ethic, even among romance writers. And there you go. There are some recent arrivals that I thought I would talk to you about. And you'll notice in the course of this video, no interruptions. Go figure. Well, I'll upload this before anything catastrophic happens, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.